There's this guy I know who gets more dates than a calendar factory, and it's not because he looks like a movie star or drives a Ferrari. It's because he does these tiny things that most men completely miss, and trust me, once you see what these are, you'll wonder how you've been walking around blind this whole time. Look, I've been watching this whole dating game from the sidelines for years, talking to friends, observing what actually works versus what we think works, and let me tell you something that might blow your mind. The things that drive women absolutely crazy aren't the grand gestures you see in movies. They're these subtle, almost invisible actions that tap into something way deeper than just surface attraction. And before you roll your eyes and think this is another one of those just for yourself videos, hold up. I'm about to break down 10 specific behaviors that create what psychologists call the mystery magnet effect. These aren't pickup lines or cheesy moves. These are psychological triggers that work on a subconscious level, and the best part is, they're so simple you'll probably laugh at how obvious they are once you hear them. Number 1. The delayed text response. Here's something that'll make you rethink your entire texting strategy. You know how we're all glued to our phones like they're life support machines? Well, the guy who responds to every text within 30 seconds is basically telling her that his phone is more interesting than his actual life. And that's not exactly the vibe that screams fascinating human being. I'm not talking about playing games here. I'm talking about having an actual life worth living. When you take a few hours to respond to a non-urgent text, you're unconsciously communicating that you've got things going on. Your buddy Jake learned this the hard way when he realized he was responding faster to texts than customer service chatbots, and surprise, surprise, conversations were dying faster than my motivation to go to the gym. The psychology behind this is called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the same principle that makes slot machines addictive. When responses come at unpredictable intervals, the brain releases more dopamine than when they're constant and predictable. It's like the difference between getting a steady drip of water versus getting caught in a surprise rainstorm. Guess which one you remember more? But here's the key, and listen carefully because this is where most guys mess it up. When you do respond, make it count. Don't just send back LOL or yeah. Actually engage with what she said. Show that you were thinking about the conversation even while you were busy living your life. That's the sweet spot between being available and being needy. Number 2, the strategic disagreement. This one's going to sound counterintuitive, but bear with me. Most guys think the path to a woman's heart is through constant agreement, like they're running for president of her fan club. Wrong move, chief. Nothing kills attraction faster than a human bobblehead who agrees with everything she says. I watched my friend Alex transform from a serial yes man to someone women actually get excited to talk to, and the change was simple. He started having actual opinions and wasn't afraid to express them respectfully. Not arguing for the sake of arguing, mind you, but genuine disagreement when he actually disagreed. There's this thing called the challenge principle in psychology. When someone always agrees with us, our brain basically categorizes them as predictable and, let's be honest, a little boring. But when someone challenges our thoughts in an intelligent way, it forces us to think deeper, and that mental stimulation creates a connection that goes way beyond surface level. The trick is in how you disagree. Instead of "you're wrong," try "I see it differently and here's why." Instead of shutting down her perspective, build on it while presenting your own. It's like intellectual tennis instead of intellectual bulldozing. One creates engagement, the other creates resentment. Number 3, the mysterious phone flip. Here's a move so simple it's almost embarrassing how effective it is. When you're hanging out with her, whether it's a coffee date or just watching Netflix, flip your phone face down, or better yet, put it in another room entirely. I know, revolutionary stuff here. But seriously, in a world where everyone's constantly distracted by notifications, the guy who gives undivided attention stands out like a unicorn in a field of horses. Your phone face down is a silent signal that whatever's happening right here, right now, is more important than whatever digital chaos is trying to steal your attention. There's actually research on this called presence psychology. When someone feels like they have your complete attention, their brain releases oxytocin, which is basically the chemical equivalent of a warm hug. It creates this bubble of connection that most people never experience anymore because everyone's always half listening while scrolling through their digital lives. My cousin tried this on a date last month, and the girl literally commented on it. She said it was the first time in months a guy wasn't checking his phone every 5 minutes. That's how rare basic human presence has become, and that rarity is your advantage. Number 4. The confident silence. Most guys are terrified of silence in conversations, like it's going to open up a portal to an awkward dimension. So they fill every gap with words, jokes, observations about the weather, basically anything to avoid that dreaded quiet moment. Big mistake. Comfortable silence is actually a sign of confidence and connection. It says you're secure enough in yourself that you don't need to constantly perform or entertain. You can just exist in a moment without feeling the need to narrate it like you're doing commentary for a nature documentary. I learned this from watching my friend Marcus, who has this uncanny ability to make women feel completely at ease around him. He'll make a point, then just let it sit there in the space between them. No nervous laughter, no immediate follow-up question, just confident presence. And you know what happens? She fills that silence, often with something way more personal and meaningful than if he had kept talking. The psychology here is called comfortable tension. When you create space in a conversation, you're giving the other person room to be themselves instead of just reacting to your constant stream of words. It's like the difference between a rushed interview and a thoughtful conversation. Number 5. The selective compliment. Here's where most guys go completely off the rails. They think compliments work like a vending machine where more coins equal more prizes. So they're out here complimenting everything from her shoes to her choice of coffee order, basically becoming a walking validation dispenser. The guys who actually create attraction give compliments like they're rare gems, not like they're handing out free samples at Costco. When you compliment something specific and meaningful, it carries weight. When you compliment everything, your words become white noise. There's this concept called compliment saturation, where too much praise actually decreases its value. It's basic economics applied to emotions. If compliments are constantly flowing, they become expected rather than special. But when they're rare and genuine, they hit different. The secret sauce is complimenting things she chose rather than things she was born with. Instead of, "You're beautiful," try, "Your sense of style is incredible," or "The way you think about things is fascinating." You're acknowledging her choices, her personality, her mind. That creates a connection to who she is, not just what she looks like. Number 6. The casual touch test. Now we're entering territory that requires some finesse and absolute respect for boundaries. I'm talking about appropriate, respectful physical contact that happens naturally in conversation. A brief touch on the arm when making a point, a light hand on her back when walking through a door, nothing that would make anyone uncomfortable. Physical touch releases oxytocin, but it has to feel natural and appropriate. The key word here is casual. If you're thinking too hard about it or planning it out like a military operation, you've already lost. It should flow from genuine moments of connection, not from some calculated strategy. I've seen guys mess this up by either being too aggressive or too timid. The sweet spot is being naturally tactile in a way that respects personal boundaries completely. Think about how you might briefly touch a good friend's shoulder when laughing at their joke. Same energy, same naturalness. The psychology behind this is called appropriate intimacy escalation. Small, respectful touches create a sense of connection and comfort, but only when they feel organic to the interaction. It's about reading the room and responding appropriately, not following some weird blueprint. Number 7. The story cliffhanger. Most people tell stories like they're reading a grocery list. Beginning, middle, end, done. But the guys who really capture attention understand the power of narrative tension. They know how to start a story, build interest, then leave you hanging just enough to want more. It's not about being manipulative or playing games. It's about understanding that anticipation is often more powerful than immediate satisfaction. When you say something like, "Remind me to tell you about what happened at work today," it's actually insane. You've created a little mental bookmark in her brain. This taps into something called the Zeigarnik effect, which is our brain's tendency to remember incomplete tasks better than completed ones. When you plant these little seeds of curiosity, her mind will actually keep coming back to them, which means she's thinking about you even when you're not around. The trick is to follow through. Don't just create anticipation and then forget about it. Circle back to those stories when the timing feels right. It shows you're thoughtful about your conversations and that you remember the little details of your interactions. Number 8, the genuine laugh response. Here's something that separates the wheat from the chaff in terms of emotional intelligence. When she says something funny, don't just give her the polite chuckle or the fake laugh that sounds like you're starting a broken lawnmower. Actually, listen to what she's saying and respond authentically. Most guys either don't laugh at all because they're too focused on being cool, or they laugh at everything because they think that's what she wants to hear. Both approaches miss the mark completely. Genuine laughter is about actually finding joy in her sense of humor and letting that show naturally. There's this thing called humor synchronization, where people who genuinely appreciate each other's comedy styles create a deeper connection. It's not about laughing at everything she says, it's about recognizing and appreciating the moments when she's actually being funny or clever. When you give a real, authentic laugh response to something genuinely amusing, you're validating her sense of humor without being fake about it. That validation feels completely different from obligatory laughter, and women can absolutely tell the difference. Number 9, the future callback. This one's subtle, but incredibly effective. During conversations, you'll naturally talk about things you both want to do, places you want to visit, movies you want to see. Most guys just let these comments float by like clouds. Smart guys plant seeds for future interactions. Instead of just saying, "Yeah, that sounds cool," when she mentions wanting to try a new restaurant, try, "We should definitely check that place out." Not, "Maybe someday," or "That could be fun," but a confident assumption that you'll be spending more time together in the future. This works because of something called future projection psychology. When you casually reference future plans together, you're helping her brain visualize continued connection. It's not pressure, it's possibility. There's a big difference between "we should hang out again sometime" and "when we go to that concert next month." The key is making it feel natural and assumptive rather than desperate or needy. You're not asking for permission to see her again, you're confidently expressing that you expect this connection to continue growing. Number 10, the authentic exit. Here's where most guys either overstay their welcome or leave so abruptly it feels like they're escaping a crime scene. The guys who really understand social dynamics know how to end interactions at the peak moment, not after they've dragged on too long. When the conversation is flowing well, when you're both enjoying yourselves, that's when you make your graceful exit. Not because you don't want to be there, but because you understand that leaving someone wanting more is better than staying until the energy fades. This principle is called peak end psychology. People remember experiences based on their peak moment and how they ended. If you leave when things are going great, that positive feeling becomes associated with you. If you stay until things get awkward or forced, that's what gets remembered instead. The trick is reading the energy and having the confidence to step away when things are good. It takes secure self-esteem to leave a good situation, but it's what creates anticipation for the next interaction. Look, here's the thing about all these behaviors. They're not magic tricks or manipulation tactics. They're just ways of being genuinely interesting, confident, and emotionally intelligent. The men who naturally do these things aren't following a script. They're just comfortable with themselves and skilled at creating genuine connections. The real secret isn't in memorizing these techniques like you're studying for a test. It's in understanding the psychology behind them and then letting that understanding naturally influence how you interact with people. Confidence, presence, genuine interest in others, these aren't tactics you can fake long-term. They have to come from actually working on yourself and becoming someone worth being around. And here's something that might surprise you. When you start implementing these behaviors, you'll notice they don't just improve your interactions with women. They make you a more interesting, confident person in general. Your friendships get deeper, your professional relationships improve, your family dynamics get better. It's like upgrading your entire social operating system. So start with 1 or 2 of these and practice them until they feel natural. Don't try to become a completely different person overnight. Just begin paying attention to these subtle dynamics and gradually incorporate them into who you already are. The goal isn't to become someone else, it's to become the best version of yourself.